Hi knitters, welcome to episode 68 of the Knitty McPurly podcast. I am Devin Ventry. You can find me on my website at knittymcpurly.com and on Instagram as Knitty McPurly. And if you want to email me, I am devin at knittymcpurly.com. How cute is this mug? I was at Target the other day and I saw this. And Target has good mugs because these are a good size and they're only $5. And I love the color and it just made me think of you guys. So, cheers to you. Okay, so things are going so well over here. This week has been insane, like crazy town over here. The biggest thing there were two really big things this week. One of them is that the Lent calendar shipped. So that is winging its way to you right now if you ordered one. I would love to hear what you think. I put a lot of thought into the packaging. So, because it's a balancing game of, I want to keep the price point low, but I want to give you a great experience, a great yarn experience. I want you to open it and have it be beautiful. So I always hope to strike that balance with all of my products, but especially the more high-end ones, the ones that cost a little bit more, such as the calendar. Let me tell you, speaking of the calendar and cost, you got an amazing deal because I do this a lot. Like, my general attitude toward things is, how hard can it be? Let's just do it. If it sounds exciting to me, I'm all in for it. Like, yes, let's do this thing. I'm not one of those people who sits down and does the math of how long it's going to take to get these things done. I have heard other dyers kind of bemoan the difficulty of an advent calendar. Like, oh my gosh, it's such a big project. And that is true. It is a big project, but that is 25 individual boxes, okay? Lent is 40. It's almost 2 advent calendars per person, 15 extra skeins of yarn, 15 extra little boxes, little Bible quotes or saint quotes or reflections or whatever. So while I was doing this, I was twisting up the skeins, the mini skeins. And I want to put a picture up. This is from my basement. And you can't even see all the boxes. They're not all in this picture of the Lent calendars. But there were 2,000 mini skeins involved. That's how many I did. And it takes me about 20 seconds from, getting the mini skein, because when you get a skein, and here's a little helpful tip for you. I've knit for a long time, but I didn't really know this until I started dyeing yarn. When you open up a skein, do a bunch of these snaps, snap it tight a bunch of times. I do that after it is dry, and I'll snap it a bunch of times, because what it does is it aligns the yarn so that as you've got it on the Swift and you're rolling it into a ball, you're going to get fewer tangles. So from all the snapping and the winding and the get it all together and get it the way that I want it, to getting it in the box, 20 seconds. So I didn't time how much I spent doing it, because I would have it with me all the time. I'd be homeschooling, I'd be scanning up skeins, I'd be doing whatever, watching TV. I was constantly working on this project for about 6 weeks. That's how long it took me to do all these. So if it takes you 20 seconds to do 2,000 skeins, that is 11 hours of just skeining. That doesn't include prepping, dyeing, washing, drying, choosing the colors too, back at the beginning, folding the 2,000 individual boxes, writing the 2,000 individual labels, coming up with a different reflection for 40 days. Please don't think I am complaining. I just want you to know that you got a good deal. I probably could have charged double what I charged and still would have, it would have covered my labor. And I say that as I felt like it was a ministry. In addition to something that supports and grows my business, it was also a ministry. It was a really great experience for me to find all of those. I did a couple sacrifices in there, not mostly, because I feel like sacrifices are kind of personal. It's mostly Bible verse or saint quote. And some of them aren't saints, they're just people, but maybe they're saints, I don't know. But they're just really good quotes, something to think about. So yeah, that went out. And after those all went out in the mail, like I had to go to UPS. Most of them went UPS. A couple of them went USPS, depending on cost and how long it would take to get there, and whatnot. Once I got all those mailed, I was like, oh. And middle of the day, the next day, I homeschooled my kids. And then I said, I'm going to take a nap. And I slept so hard that when Charlotte came in to wake me up, just because she had had enough of me being asleep, she was like, Mom. And I woke up and I didn't know where I was, what day it was, what time of day it was. I was out deep. So it was a great experience. I will definitely do it again. It's a lot of work. I will probably charge more next year. And it will still account for it being a ministry. All right, I'm gonna lose the sweater. I'm gonna talk about this sweater today. But for right now, I'm drinking tea, and therefore I'm about to ignite into flames. Okay, so that's the beginning of my progress and shop news. That really started at the beginning of the podcast, but progress and shop news. The Lent calendars went out. The second thing that happened this week is the thing that I have wanted since I started my online shop, which was in 2020. So we're going on 2 years this July. It'll be 2 years. Is that right? Yeah, 2020. No, 3 years. I'm like, 2 years isn't enough. It has been 3 years because it was 2019. It was when all of that nonsense happened in the knitting community and everybody lost their minds. See, now I'm not even wearing anything knitted. I have knitted socks on, but you can't see those. Anyway, 3 years almost since I opened my shop, I have wanted to have Knitter's Hand Balm. So here's what happened with that. I did not know how to have this in my shop. I didn't know how to get it. I didn't know where to start. So when I did that holiday market back in December, there was a lovely lady next to me who made what she called body butter, and she sold it in like a jar. And it was like whipped, like she somehow piped it into these jars. And Gigi bought a jar of it, and it was great. Like, I loved it. I put it on my hands. I'm like, this is amazing. I just love it. This is perfect Knitter's Hand Balm. So she was lovely. We were like, let's get together. Maybe like, this was early December, very busy time for small business owners. So we said, let's get together maybe in February. So I messaged with her a couple times, and we just couldn't quite get together on wholesale price and labeling. It was really important to me to have my own label and to have it be my own aesthetic. And she has a lovely aesthetic, but it's just different from mine. And so it ended up being a huge blessing in disguise. I said to her, thank you so much, but I'm just, it's not the right fit. And she said, no problem, that's fine. No big deal. So I made my own Knitter's Hand Balm. Like, it's not rocket science, people. How hard can it be? It's not that hard. I made this, and the girls and I, my daughters and I, have been using it and trying it out. And basically, this is a really good size tin. This is a 2-ounce tin. So these are $12 in my shop. I'm trying to show you how big it is. It's really a good size. Probably you're gonna lose it before you use it all up. So you're going to just get some on your hands like this. And if you're really dry, or if your feet are really dry and you wanna dig in there, you can do that. But just for my hands, I'm gonna get some out and just spread it on the tops of my hands. And sometimes before bed, I will put it on thick, like so that my hands are glistening. And that's fine for sleeping, but obviously, sorry, my usual nose itch. I don't know why my nose itches all the time. Is there some kind of old wives' tale about that? I don't know. But this is amazing. Like this one was imperfect, and that's why I kept it. It's got like a little bump in it here. I'm trying to smooth it out. But anyway, you just rub it on there and your hands feel amazing. And like all knitters' hand balms, you can still knit. Like it's not like a lotiony type of a lotion. You know how if you put a lotion on your hands, the yarn won't slide. But this is just, it's so nice, and give it 30 seconds and it's soaked into your hands and you can do whatever you want. It has in it, the ingredients are shea butter, coconut oil, beeswax, extra virgin olive oil, and fragrance. And that's it. Yeah, it smells super good. I didn't go crazy with the smell because it's chai spice. So chai spice is the scent that I have right now. These are in my shop right now. They're $12, which is a pretty good deal. Like this could last you a really long time. If you just use it on your hands during the day, like you need almost none. If you want to, you know, get more of it on your elbows and your feet and whatever else, you're welcome to dig into that and, you know, use a little bit more, but you're going to want to put socks on or, you know, sleep like that or whatever. But you guys, it's so funny. When I first started dyeing yarn, my brother-in-law came over one day, and this was when I had our tiny laundry room that I was working in. And I just had a really small little setup with a couple of burners and a sink. And I was in there and the steam was billowing, and he goes, "Oh, what you doing? Cooking meth?" And it just cracked me up because he was just like, "Oh, okay." This is the meth lab. But it's just so funny to me because now my little meth lab is growing. It's not just yarn anymore. It's also hand balm. And coming soon, couple of weeks, I'm gonna have lip balm too, because why not? You guys, my business is growing. My shop is growing. It's so exciting for me to see this happen because this is really what I wanted all along. And here it is happening. And I just feel so blessed that this is happening. Thank you so much. I can't do it without you. So thank you. Thank you for liking what I make and including it in your knitting bag and knitting my patterns and buying my yarn. And thanks for coming along this crazy journey with me because it's so much fun. I'm having such a good time. So, okay, speaking of crazy things and having fun, I had this idea of, I don't know why, I had this cartoon in my mind of my dog, who is a Boston Terrier, as a mermaid knitting. I don't know why. I just wanted to draw that, I guess. It just came into my head. I have wanted to have little animals knitting. Like I wanted to do some kind of series of stickers or cards or magnets of little cute animals knitting. And then when I thought of Rocky, I thought, what if he was a mermaid? I don't know. So I drew this little picture. I sketched this out in like 15 minutes this morning in my notebook. And I wanted to put it in Procreate, which is, my daughter has an iPad and she lets me use it sometimes if I want to draw. She has a little, it's not an Apple Pencil, it's a generic Apple Pencil, which as far as I can tell works just as well and is like a third of the price, just for your information. So I don't work very well in Procreate from nothing. So I started out with this pencil drawing where I just sketched it. And then I took a picture of it. And on Procreate, you can make layers and then you can draw a cartoon over top of either a regular picture or a drawing like I did. So I'm just gonna put up my little time-lapse video here. I don't know. Does it seem like fun to you? Would you be interested in little knitting, little note cards with this adorable mermaid dog knitting or a little sticker for your laptop? Would you want that? Because I want that, but I don't know if other people do. So leave me a comment below. Tell me if you're interested in that, and maybe I'll send you a prize. I don't know. Once I have these things, I'll come back and look. We'll call this podcast something like Mermaid Dog, or Mermaid Dog Knits, or I don't know, Merdog. And I'll come back, and if you're interested, I will send you something, either a sticker or a set of note cards or something like that. That's where I am with that. In my brain, I have like all of these different cute animals that could be knitting on note cards and stickers. But for now, we're starting with little Rocky. And I made him with little like closed eyes because my dog is blind and not everyone can relate to the blind dog vibe. So I just made his eyes closed. So there's that. I've also been working on my sweater that I showed you last time. I am in love with the way this is fitting. I put it on a couple of extra needles to see the fit of it, and it just fits so well. It's kind of boring. If you like a really boring knit, then I recommend, if you end up wanting to make this sweater, I recommend that you make it in a super dull color like I did, because this beige, while it's very pretty and neutral, and I'm actually going to talk about neutral sweaters today, it's a little bit boring to knit with. But things are going to get spiced up here. So what I'm working on, this is a design that is not yet out. I'm currently working on it right now. It does not have a name. Name suggestions are also welcome. It is going to have a split hem that is rounded in both the front and the back. It'll be longer in the back, rounded in the front and back, because a rounded hem it draws attention away from any sort of tummy issues that we may have. I personally really appreciate that. I love things with a rounded hem. I think this is the first thing that I have knit that has a rounded hem of this magnitude. I've put rounded hems on other things before, but this is going to be a very distinct hem. It also has a wide sleeve at the top. This is a really popular style of garment right now. I have a bunch of shirts that I got from Amazon that have this style where the sleeve is just wider and then it kind of gets narrow, and then it is slim from like the elbow down. And from the elbow down, it is going to have different colors and a pattern. Not a Fair Isle pattern, but one that is very easy to work in that small round. That's almost like a sock, you know, that this part of the arm is. So that's exciting. The going is slow. I've been working on this thing forever because it is a beige stockinette sweater. And beige, maybe the title of this podcast should be Beige Stockinette Sweaters. Beige stockinette sweaters and Merdogs. Kind of something a little boring with something a little crazy. Okay, so that is the knitting that I have been working on slowly but surely. Finally, McPurly pouches will be coming. It's slow. I'm doing a ton of different things as I have just outlined, but McPurly pouches are coming. Probably end of February, early March, there will be McPurly pouches coming out. And if you don't know, if you're new, it's a little triangular pyramid shaped pouch that can hold all of your notions and is super, super adorable. Okay, our word of the week this week is stockinette. Now, stockinette is a really interesting word because it describes, as you know, if you are a knitter, this very basic fabric that we think of when we think of a sweater. Like most sweaters are knit in stockinette, right? Like, especially like if you think of one from a store or any knit fabric. Like this that I'm wearing right now is just a t-shirt, and it is a knit, meaning that it is a fabric that was created through knitting. So it was knit on a machine with tiny, tiny little thread. And if you had a microscope and could look up super close at my t-shirt, what you would see is stockinette fabric. So in my research, I found out that stockinette, as we say to describe this fabric in the United States, which is also called stocking stitch in Europe. Not exactly sure. Some different people in different places call it different things, but over in Europe, a lot of people call it stocking stitch. And the reason is the beginning of the word stockinette is like stocking knit, stockinette. It just evolved from stocking knit to stockinette. It's like goodbye. The word goodbye is God be with you. And as time went on and people said it faster and faster and faster, it became goodbye. And it's just something that kind of condensed and became a word. So goodbye is a word, like stockinette is a word. So stockinette is not actually a stitch. It is a stitch pattern. It is kind of, we call it the regular knit, where you knit on the right side and purl on the wrong side. Or if you're working on the round, you're constantly knitting, because in the round, you're always working on the right side, because you're like, it's like you're walking around a round building, right? You're always on the right side. So stockinette is a word that was first used in the late 1700s in print, and it was used as a fabric that needs to stretch, as for stockings or socks. So stocking knit would be the kind of fabric that you would use for stockings, because it needed to have a little bit of stretch. The word stockinette, as applied to the knit stitch, did not come into common use until the mid-20th century. And that's interesting, because a lot of times we use the word stitch, like stocking stitch or garter stitch, when really these don't refer to stitches, but to stitch patterns. Stockinette or stocking stitch is a pattern. Garter stitch is a stitch pattern rather than a stitch. But I thought that that was super interesting. I did not know that stockinette was just a evolution of stocking knit, but it makes sense, doesn't it? I thought that was super interesting. Okay, this week's topic is one that I think is super critical to us as knitters, and that is, what sweaters do you wear the most? If you are like me, you have drawers filled to the brim with knitted sweaters, and there are some that just never see the light of day. So what is the difference between a sweater that you wear a lot and a sweater that you never wear? I have some sweaters, some even that I designed, that I just don't wear that often. Most of the reason for that is, if it is the kind of sweater that you throw on, like over an existing outfit, because there's really two different kinds of sweaters. There's the throw it on over my outfit because I'm cold kind. And then there's the statement piece, I have built this outfit around this sweater kind. So if the sweater is of the first type, the throw it on over the outfit type, if it doesn't hang right, or it doesn't lay right, or it's too loud in color or pattern or whatever, it's not going to get worn. I'm not going to wear it. So this one that I had on, and I'm starting to cool off again so I can put it on again. This is one of the ones that you see me wear in the podcast quite a bit. It is the Potomac Worsted. And I love the way this sweater wears. I'm wearing, this is actually like a one-piece jumpsuit. It's like secret pajamas, but really it's just pajamas. But this sweater is great. I throw it on a lot because it has pockets and it is very comfortable. One thing about this sweater is I tend to throw it on over a neutral outfit like I'm wearing right now, so I kind of wish I had it in a brighter color. Not multicolored, but like a bright pink or a green, just a solid color, or a tonal, using a tonal yarn or something, because I feel like it would add a pop of color to my outfit a lot of the time. This lays great. My only complaint about the worsted weight one is that it is warmer. So sometimes, and I live in Virginia, it depends. It doesn't get crazy cold here. You know, if it's 20 degrees Fahrenheit, we don't leave the house. So, typically even in the winter, it's like 40, 45 degrees Fahrenheit in the middle of the day. So sometimes I will wear this in place of a coat. I have one that is in the fingering weight that I can wear, 3 seasons out of the year, but this one only when it's really cold. It is very basic in stitch. It looks very basic. It lays great. It is a perfect sweater to just throw on. So I wear this one a lot. This one is my original Faucette, and this is a sweater of the second type. It is the kind that you build an outfit around. And I have 3 Faucettes, and I actually wear them a lot in the spring and the fall when it's warm, but not super warm. It's too hot in the summer because this is a DK weight wool. But in the springtime when it's like, 50 or 60 degrees, I'll put this on over a dress because I wear dresses like exclusively in the summer. I have a couple pairs of shorts, but mostly I wear dresses. And you can throw a cropped sweater over top of a dress super easily. So I actually these two are kind of opposites in that this one I wear because it's plain and this one I wear because it's fancy. But this is the kind you throw over an outfit, and this is the kind that you build an outfit around. So don't think, oh, well, that has too many colors, or, I'm not going to wear it because it's not beige. There is a place for color. There is a place for texture, but you have to think, is this the kind of sweater that I want to throw on, or am I going to build my outfit around it? If you're going to build an outfit around it, it can be absolutely anything. If you just want to throw it on, think basic color, basic, boring knit. Now this one, I actually do plan for this to be the kind that you build an outfit around because of the statement sleeves. This is probably not one that I'm going to throw on. And here's another example of one that kind of meets all the criteria. And this is my water ship. I have 2 of these. I have one that's a short sleeve and one that is a long sleeve. And this is a sweater that, even though it is plain gray, I build an outfit around it because it has a slim fit. So sweaters with a slim fit, I tend to not throw on over something because it's not going to fit. It needs to be something with a little more space in it. And at the same time, you could make a sweater with a lot of color that is bigger that you could throw on over something basic like what I'm wearing today. So there's no one formula for if your sweater has this, this, and this, you'll wear it a lot. And if it doesn't, then you won't. But there are some sweaters that I just never wear. Some were designed by other designers and some were designed by me. And I'm not going to go through those because if maybe you have that sweater and you love it. So, but if it doesn't lay right, or if it's too hot, like I have a sweater by another designer that is one you build an outfit around, but it's too hot. It's always too hot. Like I could wear it like a coat, but it's too hot to wear indoors. So, it depends where you live. It depends how cold you get. It depends if you have hot flashes like I do, then, you're going to need to have something that you can easily remove. So I kind of went all over the place with that, but I guess what I want to say is when you're deciding what pattern to make and what yarn to use and what colors to use, think, is this the kind of sweater I throw on over an outfit, or am I going to build my outfit around it? And then think, okay, it's that one. So what do I want to do here? Do I want loud colors or do I want something beige? Because we really need both, right? You need both of those things in your wardrobe. You need the staple basics and you need that kind of interesting thing that's like, wow, it's the showstopper of the outfit. So think about what you're going to wear it with. And I write this in a lot of my patterns because I have a couple that are cropped, and I like a cropped sweater because I like to wear it over a dress or a longer top, especially one with like a curved hem, like I said last week. But you have your own style. Think, what do I want to wear? And if you think, well, gosh, I don't really wear dresses, and I've had 4 kids and I'm in my 40s, so that cropped ship has sailed. So I don't want a crop sweater. Then knit yours a little bit longer. That is the beauty of hand knitting. You can do it however you want. You don't have to always follow the rules. I was thinking how awesome it would be to knit my Gigi cardigan as a pullover. Wouldn't that be awesome? I have been thinking about that a lot lately too. So, as you can see, I have a lot of big plans. We'll see how many of them actually happen. On to your favorite segment and mine, knitting fantasies. This week, I chose 2 sweaters based around my word of the week and my topic of the week, which is how to choose a sweater pattern that is what you want and the word stockinette. So I searched for basic sweaters, super easy, super basic sweaters that would be the kind that you would wear all the time and you could just throw on at any time. The first one I think is a little more of the first category, and the second one I think you could build an outfit around, even though it's in a neutral color. So both of these are found on Etsy. The first one is called, and they're linked below. The first is called it's by Darling Jador, and it's called the Basic Sweater. This is a $6 pattern. It is worked top down in DK weight yarn. It comes in 9 sizes, which is nice for a $6 pattern. And it looks to me like it has twisted rib on the collar and the cuffs and the hem. The collar also appears to be folded over, but it looks super plain old crew neck with lots of ease. Looks like something that you would wear a lot. The ones in the listing are in a neutral color, but you could also knit it in a color that you love or a yarn that you love. So I think this is a super versatile pattern that would lend itself to a lot of different types of outfits. My second pick is by a person who is turning out to be my favorite Etsy designer because I seem to pick her every week, Caidre, C-A-I-D-R-E. And this sweater is called the Evermore. It's slightly more intricate. I'm getting a little crazy with the air quotes, which reminds me about my Say Anything sock set. Do you remember the girl with she put everything in air quotes? I went back and watched Say Anything while I was scanning up those Say Anything sock sets. And oh my gosh, that movie. I love it so much. Those will definitely be coming back because I definitely got emails from people saying, I missed it. I need to get that sock set. So yeah, that will definitely be coming back. But anyway, it's the Evermore sweater. It's $6.50. Comes in 6 sizes. It comes in English, French, German, and Dutch, which is really nice if you speak any of those languages. This is also a DK or a light worsted sweater. It has a V-neck and it has some very, very simple lace detailing around the sleeves and on the bottom. So this is, even though this is a DK or light worsted weight sweater, they use a US 10.5 needle, which is a pretty big needle. So it is a nice open weave. I mean, that's not an open weave. It's just a very drapey fabric. It's not going to be very dense at all. So there are 2 basic sweaters at great price points that you can find on Etsy. Okay, so here's what happened. No one sent me a story this week, but I did get lots of emails to this effect. Something like this. Around the time that the Blocked magazine came out, and my name, along with the names of many others, were circulating on a list. And the basic gist was, these are bad people, you need to go unfollow them now. And around the same time, a lot of people were posting. Some things were hateful, some things were divisive, some things were true, but maybe didn't need to be pointed out or highlighted. Around this time, a couple weeks ago, when the Block magazine came out, I got a lot of emails to the effect of, it's like 2019 all over again. I look at Instagram and I get upset and I feel sad. I don't want to knit. And frankly, I was feeling that way a little bit too. I lost about 200 followers at that time just because people were told to unfollow me, which was really interesting to me because I can't imagine, I don't know, I'm a person who doesn't like to do what I'm told. If you tell me to do it, I'll be like, I'm not doing it just because you told me I have to. But it's amazing to me how many people are like, oh, unfollow, done. But whatever. There were a few of the knitting elite who were still following me but had muted me, or they had multiple accounts, and so some of their accounts were not following me, but some were. And they went through and cleared me out of there, which really left me feeling very, like lighter. Like I felt like, oh, that's nice. Because I would rather have all of you guys than any member of the knitting elite. They are a dime a dozen, and you guys are worth your weight in gold. I was talking to a priest friend of ours recently. Can't remember why we were on this topic. We weren't talking about the knitting community, but I remembered this quote from C.S. Lewis, and I had to go look it up to get it exactly right. But it said, "How monotonously alike are all the great tyrants and conquerors, but how gloriously different are all the saints." And I thought, isn't that so true for our time? Kind of the cancel mob and the haters are all the same. And the reason they have to all unfollow us is because they have to all be the same and they have to all toe that line. That must be exhausting. For me, this was almost like a second cancellation, but I didn't care. I was like, well, whatever. If you want to, that's fine. And my husband would follow it. He'd be like, oh, the numbers are still going down. And I'd be like, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. And he was like, but your business is growing. Like you're more busy and you are selling more products and more people are buying your patterns, even as you're getting more and more canceled. It's like a symbiotic relationship between my cancellation and my success. So that has been really a blessing. But I won't do that. I won't cancel anyone. I won't unfollow anyone just because you asked me to. And I did have some people who are bigger name people who messaged me and said, I got this email saying to unfollow you. What's this about? Like, I don't know what this is about. And so we engaged in a dialogue and we discussed it and we talked about it. And they said, oh, okay, I see, I understand. Like, you're not a bad person, Devin. You're not Satan or Hitler. You're not any of those things. And now that we've talked, I understand. And that was really refreshing. I loved that because that's how we all ought to relate to one another. And I think that is how we relate to one another in real life. But somehow when we get on social media, we don't do that anymore. I don't know. I don't know why that is. But one thing that I said to her and that I've talked with many people about in the past 2 weeks is how we may be gloriously different. As in the C.S. Lewis quote, we don't all need to be the same. You and I can agree on some things and disagree on other things, which frankly, you don't really know my views because I've never said them. You probably have an idea of what you think they are, and maybe you're right, maybe you're not. But it doesn't really matter. We unite over knitting and probably Christianity. That's a big part of what I do too. So if we don't agree on everything, that's fine. I'm fine with being your friend. I would love for you to also be my friend. There were some people on the angrier side. I guess I'll call it the other side because they've canceled me. I guess I'll call them the people on the other side who I don't know at all. I've never met them. Yet they've blocked me on Instagram, which is interesting because they call for me and anyone really to talk to them, to engage in that dialogue, but I'm not able because they've blocked me. So I would always love to hear from anyone, especially those people who want to private message me, because I feel like in a private message, you can speak candidly and openly, and you don't have to tread so carefully. I always write those, like my mom always said to me when I was a kid, and probably your mom said too, don't ever say anything that you don't want printed in the newspaper. And that's even more true these days, when don't ever type anything out that you don't want printed in the newspaper. So I do always go into things that I type out with that knowledge. But there are people who I trust, and we can build up a trust even over the internet. And there are people who've trusted me, who've said to me, this is information that I want you to have, but that I don't want you to tell anyone else. And it goes in the vault. I'll take it to my grave, and I know that you will too, whatever that is that we talk about in a private conversation. So while I didn't have a knitting story of one of yours to share, I sort of did, because I feel like we all kind of went through that over the past couple weeks. Some of you I've emailed with, some of you have messaged me on Instagram. But I hope that we can move past it. If there are people who you need to look away from, look away. Just let that go. Don't let anybody rain on your parade unnecessarily. You're a good person. You know you're a good person. Don't let people who have never met you before put a label on you, because that is ridiculous. I have put together a little bit of video from my dye studio because I cleaned it after I got all the Lent stuff out of there, because I could never take pictures or video of it while it was in there, because all that's a surprise. So once I got that out, I cleaned up and I took a little video. If it looks good and if I'm happy with it, I will include it here. Otherwise, if you have a knitting story that you would like to share that is funny or cute or adorable or heartwarming or reminds you of someone who you love and lost, or whatever, some crazy mistake that you made that was hilarious that you want to share with us, I would love to share it on the podcast. Take a video or send it to me, and I would love to have it on the podcast. Send it to my email, devin@knittymcpurly.com, or you can DM it to me on Instagram. This has been so much fun. Miraculously, I have had no bloopers yet. Okay, guys, this has been so fun. Did I miss anything? Is there anything else I wanted to talk to you about? No, I think I got it all. All right, see you next week. Bye. Hi, guys. It is early morning here, so please pardon my appearance, but I thought I would give you a tour of my dyeing space while it's organized. I just organized it. So, can I turn you around? No. Okay, hold on. So these two big boxes right here are going to be the Advent calendars. And here we have the Lent calendars ready to ship. Got a spin dryer. I've got my jerry-rigged, still functioning laptop with its hooked up stuff. Here we are. We got my yarn over here. Workspace, calendar. Over on the other side is my husband's side. I just set up my mostly depleted now shipping station, and I have all sorts of stuff hanging on my drying rack that is not yarn. I've got my Genesis shawl and my Potomac cardigan and some hand knit socks that have been drying, modern rainbow socks. But this is it. Over here, this is where I'm gonna put my area for making my hand balm, and so I've got my supplies right there. All right.